very much, distinguished participants of the Heads of Coast Guard Conference. It is an honor for me to give you a flavor of FRONTEX joint maritime operations and the efforts that we have put it in the last times in order to increase the interagency cooperation when implementing our joint operations. As you all know, FRONTEX is the agency that has been created to coordinate the operational cooperation between the member states at the external border of the European Union. In that sense, FRONTEX supports the member states in creating a uniform level of border control, border surveillance and border checks. It's an operational agency which coordinates the activities and at the same time tries to increase the capacity building of the member states related to border control and border surveillance. The core business of our agency is to prevent and detect and apprehend illegal immigration, irregular migration through the external borders of the European Union. So this is the core business of this agency, to support the member states in such activities, and of course at the same time by respecting the fundamental rights when putting in place our joint operations. Our target is to improve the conditions of border surveillance and creating a better awareness of the situations before we are confronted, especially at sea, sometimes with very dramatic situations, but also at the same time to detect facilitators and criminals that are related to illegal immigration, trafficking in human beings, smuggling, and to help the member states to create their criminal cases in order to put forward judicial processes against these criminals. So FRONTEX supports the member states in the surveillance on early detection of migrants, which in sea operations in most of the cases result in assisting in search and rescue operations. Afterwards, FRONTEX supports also the member states in identifying the migrants and find the possible need for international protection. From the criminal perspective, actions also focus, as I said, to identify facilitators and criminal networks related to these activities and to improve our operation in this area. We've been trying to implement more and more flexibility and reaction capacity to our joint operations. Sea environment, as you all know, is a very complex one. Many authorities with competence in the maritime domain coexist in this area. The diversity of criminal activities at sea is also very big, and the cooperation between the different types of agencies is desired for a cost-efficient result. FRONTEX started some years ago while implementing our joint operations, focusing of course in our core business, to involve other agencies and to develop the concept of multi-purpose operations. In that sense, FRONTEX partners are of course other law enforcement authorities, search and rescue authorities, environment protection authorities, customs, fishery control, armed forces, just to state some of the involved agencies also in this area. We faced some challenges when trying to put this in place, and one of them is, as I mentioned already, the various national authorities with responsibility at sea, sometimes in having responsibilities and competencies in the same domain, sometimes in the different domain. Linked to this, the need to raise awareness for the need of such cooperation and such interagency efforts in order to use the existing resources to detect and fight more types of criminality. Then we try and we put it in place some projects in order to improve and to support the member states, not only in detect and intercepting the facilitators and the networks, but also to collect evidence in order to be used further on in processes, judicial processes at national level against those criminals. Of course, this cannot be done without a strong cooperation between national, European, international and interagency cooperation. When Frontex puts a joint operation in place, we create an International Coordination Center, ICC, which is the main actor for our joint operations. As you know, Eurosur established the national coordination control centers, and we are trying more and more to combine our international coordination centers with these national coordination centers. This contributes to a cost-effective management of the operations, as all involved authorities, not only from the host member state, meaning the member state where the operation takes place, but all participating member states can deploy their experts, where Frontex is also present with the coordinating officers, and on a daily basis there is an exchange of information, there is a planning of the future steps of the operation on how to deploy in a more effective way the resources that are available in order to detect the targets. As you also know, our joint operations FC are based in the European Patrol Network, which was a network that resulted from the METSI study. This already provides us throughout the year with a common planning of patrols between neighboring member states. A lot of information and awareness is collected from this network, and our joint operations, when put it in place in certain geographical areas, take advantages of the existing structures which work within the EPN network throughout the year. Now for some figures related to illegal immigration. So we see, for instance, in 2011, a huge increase of detections, which is related, of course, with Arab Spring and the situation in the Central Mediterranean. Then 2012 we noticed a decrease of the numbers, still with high numbers, for instance, in the external land border. And this year we have again at the Central Mediterranean a huge increase of detections coming from Libya, Egypt mainly. Syria, normally also not directly but through Turkey, and coming a little bit from everywhere. Concerning the operational days that we put in place during our joint operations, and you know that we have been cut it a little bit in our budget, so it has been quite a struggle to keep more or less the same level of operational activities and operational days, but still we are capable, I think, to perform in high numbers. Now giving you a little bit of what comes along in our joint operations. Of course, during the implementation of our joint operations, most or a very large number of the detections are immediately linked to search and rescue activities due to the type of boats that are used for this, by these immigrant networks to smuggling these people or to take these people into Europe. Most of them, as you know, are not seaworthy, or they are extremely loaded for its capacity. So in most of the cases it turned to be a search and rescue activity. You can see also the numbers of people that have been rescued during the implementation of Frontex joint operations at sea. And being at sea and operating at sea, of course, we end up detecting other types of criminality. And we thought it would be interesting to show you the parallel activities that have been detected during FRONTEX joint operation, and especially focusing on our wish to increase the multi-purpose concept of our joint operation. So just related to drugs, you can see that already this year, by September, we had in our joint operation a detection of a huge amount of drugs, and you have also a calculation of the approximate value in euros of such detections. We just heard recently about cigarette smuggling, so almost 3 million of packets have been detected while having in place FRONTEX joint operations at sea. So this is also a contribution from our joint operations in cooperation with respective authorities. Also with EFCA we are working together in the detection of criminal actions in fisheries. Sea pollution, our surveillance assets detected already this year during 2 joint operations some areas of oil split. This is one of the cases in the joint operation in EAS, so in Italy, and another one in Spain, where a discharge of soybean oil has been detected by one of the aircrafts involved in FRONTEX joint operation. This is even a more particular case because during a surveillance activity we were able to detect a forest fire in shore, so this was really something new this year. But to achieve all these activities and to increase and improve the interagency cooperation, of course it is critical for us to cooperate with many different authorities and agencies that have specific competences in all these areas. So this, for us, it's a step forward to increase and streamline the cooperation and to improve the capacity of fighting cross-border in the maritime domain by using existing resources and working together in this area. FRONTEX has been supporting the Baltic Sea region border control cooperation. We are involved in activities. We are supporting BSR BCC in the organization of different seminars and workshops, co-financing the activities. Also the Black Sea Littoral States Border Coast Guard Cooperation. We have been participating in different activities, and last but not least, FRONTEX has been actively supporting the European Coast Guard Function Forum. We also, as it has been already said, been supporting by co-financing different activities, and of course I would like to state that we are willing to continue such cooperation in the same models as we have done so far.